The Long Journey by Sue Mann. Hey, Walter, are you planning on staying all day? Huh? Oh, yeah, sure. The auditorium is rapidly emptying, and with it comes a thick blanket of silence. Enveloped in my own thoughts, I've missed most of the assembly, but that isn't important. Now we have the next 6 minutes to go to our lockers and our first class, but I already have the books I need. Thinking back over the past month, I remember numerous times when I wasted hours of valuable time lying in front of the television or just daydreaming. Our English teacher gave the assignment 5 weeks ago. This short story is, in your own way, to symbolize something. Just make sure that someone with a little intelligence, namely me, will be able to recognize what you are trying to show. Have your story, with at least 2,000 words, completed by April 21st. Today is April 21st. 3 days ago, I began to get worried about the story. I know I shouldn't procrastinate the way I do, but you know how it goes. When the assignment doesn't have to be handed in for 2 or 3 weeks or even a week, it seems like a long way off. I always excuse myself by saying that I work better under pressure, but for some reason it didn't work that way last night. Last night, I still hadn't begun to write the stupid story. I mean, I had tried, but success had evaded me. Well, I was sitting there with the radio on because, of course, I work better with noise in the background, trying to make my pen write a story. On my 7 or so previous attempts, I could get about 100 or 200 words, and then my mind would go blank. Then I started thinking that I could use a story from a magazine as a model. I mean, I could use the plot for an idea and maybe even use some of the phrases and incidents. For 3 hours, I browsed through my old magazines and read all the short stories in them, along with all the jokes and cartoons and the eye catching articles. From the beginning, I could tell this was going to be more or less a waste of time because the only magazines I had were Time and Sports Illustrated, which aren't exactly literary magazines. But I just kept reading and losing time. Finally, it dawned on me that my mother's Good Housekeeping magazines are rather well known for their interesting short stories, at least around my house. Maybe I could find one making use of symbolism. The 12th Good Housekeeping that I picked up had the perfect story in it, and it was even written by a man. By this time, I had read 11 magazines and it was 11:30. I sat for an hour or so trying to figure out how I could change it, but still maintain the plot and the use of symbolism. When it got to be 1 o'clock, my leaden eyelids were becoming too heavy for the weary muscles that hold eyelids up. Of course, I had stayed up rather, well, very late the previous night because of a history report I handed in yesterday, a day late. Then I got to thinking. This is not only an old issue, but this magazine is written for and usually read by women. Since my English teacher is a man, I could see no earthly reason why he would ever read the story. The fact that he was a bachelor prodded me on even more. After about 2 minutes of deliberation, I recopied the story in my own handwriting, changing only the names of the characters. Sled by Walter Milburn. All the adventure of the night and snow lay before him, if only he could get out of the house. Now I'm sitting in this auditorium seat. How can I possibly turn this in as my own work? The decision is weighing heavily upon my mind. I begin my journey through the endless corridors of the school. Beat bears. We played them last week. That sign ought to be taken down. It's only taking up space now. Could I be put in jail? The miracle worker. I hope this year the senior class play is a more effective performance than it was last year. How could anyone ever know? Jim got a new pair of shoes. It's about time. His old ones were falling apart. Who would know? I'll know. I haven't stolen since I was 8, until now. This door needs a good job of lubrication, and the glass isn't exactly immaculate. My parents pay enough taxes. Why can't things be kept in good condition? Here's room 23. The 2 is almost 1/4 of a centimeter taller than the 3, My seat, middle row, second from the back. Please pass in your stories. I don't think I can. Well, Walter, isn't yours completed? Your grade can't take that. What? Oh, I must have been daydreaming. Here it is. Well, I did it. I had to do it. If I failed English this semester, my parents would be more than mad. What's done is done. He'll never know the difference, and my parents will be happy. Now, class, I'd like to read this story to you. I told my aunt, who used to be an English teacher herself, about the assignment I gave, and she said that she had kept a story written by one of her former pupils on file because it is an excellent example of symbolism. The pupil is now a well-known author, and the story has been published. Sled by Thomas E. Adams. All the adventure of the night and snow lay before him, if only he could get out of the house.